project, I'm going to be taking the Paint Box yarns. So this is a kind of like a muted mustard color, and it is 100% acrylic, but what I like about this is it's a lightweight 3, so it still has a really nice softness to it and a really kind of fine work when you work it all up together. So this is one of my new favorites that I've discovered. I'll leave the link down below where I found this yarn. And also for this project, I'm going to be alternating between 2 different hook sizes. So for the kind of like band and the stretchy border that I'm going to be making around the top, I'm going to be taking my 3.75mm hook. And for the remainder of the project, I'm going to be taking the 4mm hook. So to get started, I am going to begin off with a 3.75mm hook. So I'm going to begin with the band that's going to wrap around your midsection. This is going to fall under your bust. This is the very bottom of the crochet top. So I'm going to begin with a slip knot, and then I'm going to chain a total of 7. Once I have the 7, I'm going to be placing my hook through that second chain from the hook. So I'm going to be skipping over the chain that I'm currently in right now, placing my hook through that very first chain, yarn over, pull through. I'll have 2 left on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. So I'm placing single crochets for this portion. I'm just going to go back along this chain, placing my hook in every chain with 1 single crochet. So now I've placed the last single crochet in this row. I'm just going to chain 1, flip over my work, and then place my hook in that very first chain. So I'm going to place my hook through that very first chain that's attached to the chain that I'm working out of right now. So sometimes in pieces you would skip over that chain. I am going to be working through that very first chain, placing my single crochet. Now I'm going to go back along the row, placing 1 single crochet in each chain. So each row you should have a total of 6 chains. So now I'm just going to repeat that first row all over again. I'm going to be doing this for a lot of rows. I'm not 100% sure how many rows it's going to work out for my size, small to medium, but once I come back, I will let you know how many rows that ends up being for me. I will also leave measurements written out in my blog if you want to alter this to fit your exact measurements. So I'm just going to be chaining 1, flipping over the work, and repeating, placing 1 single crochet in each chain. And I'm going to repeat this over and over and over again until it fits around my entire midsections. So I just want to show you guys, I finished with my strip. I did about 96 rows. This is going to be my small to medium, and I just want to show you. So my waist that I am crocheting to measures about 29 inches. So without stretching, this work only measures to about 22 inches, but when it's stretched, it measures to my full size. So let me just show you. Just make sure that if you are measuring and crocheting to your size, please crochet once you are finished stretching the work. You don't want it to be too loose because this is what's gonna hold your crochet top down. So make sure that when whatever measurement you're crocheting to, you measure your crochet piece when it's stretched out. I'm finished with the bottom edging. I'm just going to connect the 2 corners together. So I'm just going to do that with a basic row of single crochet. So now I've connected my band together. This is going to be the inside of the work, but I'm just going to go ahead and begin. I'm not fastening off at all. I'm just going to chain 1. And actually I'm going to weave in this extra piece of yarn while I'm working. So I'm just going to chain 1 and then do a row of single crochet along the top portion of this band. So there's not definitive chains. You are going to be guessing where your chains are going to be. I'm just going to show you kind of what I'm doing for a couple of chains. You're just going to want to place it evenly spaced out, not too many chains, not too stretched out. Just do a row of single crochet. along this top half. So yeah, that's all I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to make my way all the way around until I rejoin at the beginning here. So now I've made my way all the way back around. I'm just going to connect the 2 rows together. So I'm going to take that first chain at the top of the connection that we made. I'm just going to place my hook through that, and I'm going to place a slip stitch. So now I'm going to begin on my second row, but for the remainder of the top, I'm going to be changing my hook out to the slightly larger 4mm hook. So I just wanted the band to be a little bit tighter together so that would have more stretch to it. That's why I'm switching out my hook sizes. You don't have to do it, but it's just kind of like a small detail. So now I'm just gonna get started on the second row. So for this row, I am going to be increasing every every couple of chains. So for this first row, it doesn't have to be this exact pattern. The idea is that you just want to increase every so often because you are wearing this when it's going to be stretched. So you don't want it to be too tight and too see-through around your bust area. So I'm just going to be placing my hook through that first chain, placing 1 single crochet, second chain, 1 single crochet. Now I'm going to be increasing 2 chains through the third chain. I'm just doing it through the third chain because I want a little bit of separation from the closures. So that's why I decided to do it just a few chains away from the beginning of the row. But it really doesn't matter where you do that first increase. I'm just gonna be placing 2 chains through that third chain. So now I'm going to be doing just a little bit of a straightaway. So I'm gonna be doing about 15 chains with just 1 single crochet per chain. So now I have a straightaway of about 15 chains with no increase. Now I'm going to be doing 1 more increase on that very next chain. So just placing 2 single crochet through that same chain. So slowly increasing every so often, I decided to do 15 chains straight away and then increase. So I'm just going to repeat that the entire way around. So I'm going to be doing another 15 straight away, then an increase. And I'm going to repeat that until I make my way back to the beginning of the row. So once you make your way back, you're going to rejoin the row together the same way that you did on the row beneath it, and you're going to continue doing this for the remainder of the body portion. So just connect that together with a slip stitch to the first chain of the row. So now I'm finished with the second row. So it really depends on how large your bust is. So this is kind of just the generic small to medium size that I'm going to be doing right now. But if you want to alter it to your measurement, check out my blog for tips on how to crochet to your measured size. So now I'm just going to begin on the bulk of the work. So I'm going to have this seam line on the inside rest underneath one side of my arm. So this isn't going to go in the very back of the crochet top, it's going to be on the side, so it's a little bit more uniform along the front and the back. So what I'm going to do is just loosely measure. So this is where my basically where my boobs are. I'm going to be increasing along this side of the top and then not along the back or along the armpits. So before I do that, I'm just gonna do probably 2 or 3 more rows with no increase. But basically the idea is you're gonna wanna, depending on how large your bust is, you're gonna wanna just work your way up and then add increases slowly along the bust area only. So that's just the general idea. I'm just gonna go ahead, if anyone's a little bit more advanced and wants to kind of skip ahead creating their own pattern, that's what I'm doing. But people following along with my generic pattern, then just continue with your rows. I'm going to do about 2 or 3 more rows of basic crochet with no increase. So just always chain 1 at the beginning of your row and then just go ahead and start placing 1 single crochet in each chain, and I'm going to come back once I finish with these 3 rows. So now I did an additional 3 rows and I'm back to the side closure. I've already chained 1. I'm going to begin on doing the increases for the bust area. This is just going to be a generic size small to medium, so I'm only going to be adding 2 total. Basically, I'm just going to crochet my way as usual down the back side, make my way to the front, and then I'm going to designate 2 spots only for the increase. This is going to be the very bottom of the bust. This is going to be the front side, so stretched out, I'm going to just measure loosely where I believe would be the best place. You could measure it against your body as well. This is just how I crochet and make up patterns. I just kind of eyeball it. So that's all I'm doing. I hope that's okay and you guys could figure out. So you really could just continue this pattern without any increase for the bust. If you do have a smaller size bust, it's completely up to you. I'm only gonna add 2 increases at the very base of the bust. I'm just gonna continue basically. So once I have this row of the initial increases, then I'm just gonna continue basic single crochet over and over again, probably 15 more rows. I'm assuming. I'll let you know how many rows it ends up being. You could basically just continue off this piece, and that's all I'm going to be doing for the remainder of this top. So I'm just going to continue with single crochets for every row, and then once I have the length that I need to cover my bust, I'm going to get started on the edging for the top. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do the bulk of the work now. I'm gonna skip through it and come back once I'm finished. So now I've finished with the bulk of the work that I want to do for my top. So you can continue this for as long as you want it to be. If you want it to be slightly longer than a cutoff. And also I did make a mistake and somehow ended up crocheting the opposite way, so there is a faint line in my work. Try to avoid that. Yeah, so I've done a total of 28 rows including the very first row, so that is just what I'm going to be doing for my small to medium. So to begin on the straps, I just cut my yarn and I'm going to fasten it off. So this is after my last slip stitch to connect the row together. I'm just going to yarn over and pull through, and that's gonna fasten off the side. I'm gonna weave this in later. To begin on this strap, I'm going to be working the strap independently from the top. So we're gonna do the same pattern as this edging along the bottom. So I'm gonna make a slip knot and then chain a total of 7. And then I'm gonna place my hook through that first chain with a single crochet, placing 1 single crochet in each chain. And once I'm at the end of the row, I'm just gonna chain 1, flip over my work, and then do that same exact pattern as this. So I'm just going to be placing my hook through this very first chain of the row connected to the chain 1. Normally people skip that, but I am going to be working my first single crochet in that chain, then going along placing 1 single crochet in each chain. And then again, chain 1, flip over your work, repeat that process over and over and over again. So this is going to be the length of the strap. It's going to connect from the back, reach over your armpit, and I'll let you know how many chains that ends up being for my side. So I finished the length of my strap and ended up doing a total of 70 rows. This is going to be a pretty generic one-size-fit-all strap. You do want it to stretch kind of significantly when you're wearing it, so just do a total of 70 rows. So what I'm going to be doing is taking my top, and how I'm going to attach this is I'm going to first connect it to the back side. The front is going to have a little bit more space than the back because of our increase on the bust. So just keep that in mind when you're creasing it in half. So yeah, basically I'm going to take the side that I'm working off of and I'm going to align that to the back depending on how close you want your strap to lay next to your armpit or the back of your arm. So I'm just gonna go in about 2 inches, and that's a pretty safe bet for when you're placing your strap. Your strap is gonna wrap around this way, and then we're gonna bring it up over and then attach it on this side. I hope that makes sense, but if not, just like watch what I'm doing. I'm gonna line it up and then just do a basic row of single crochet to attach it together. So just make sure you're going through both the front and the back of the strap and the body piece. So then just for reference, again, I'm gonna fold it back, and I want the strap to leave off about the same distance as the back. So this is all gonna be armpit space right here. So I'm gonna crochet my way around until I reach about the same distance on the front as I have created on the back. So I'm gonna stop about there, and then our strap is just gonna lift off from there, and then we're gonna reattach it on the back. So once you're finished attaching the armpit portion down, I just cut my yarn and I'm just gonna fasten that off. Just yarn over, pull through, and pull that tightly. You could weave that in later. So now I'm just going to flip the side up, and this is how the strap is going to attach. So I'm just going to bring the excess, make sure it's straight. I'm gonna bring this down and I'm going to attach it to this corner, attaching the side as well as the base. I'm just gonna go ahead and flip that inside out one more time, just so that the seam lines are all along the inside of the top. So now that I have this portion connected, kind of like in an L shape, I just cut the excess off. I'm gonna fasten that off the same way I did the others, weaving that in later, and you are done with one side of the strap. Now that's all that's left to do is just repeat this process. I'm just gonna go ahead and repeat this process on the other side. So now I have both straps attached. I'm gonna be making a panel that comes across to connect the front and also the back. So again, you're gonna be repeating this same edging pattern. So just do a slip knot, chain 7. You're gonna be just repeating that same exact thing. I'll let you know how many rows you have to do to fill the space. So I'm finished with my little piece here. I did 24 rows. So that is going to mean it has to stretch a little bit to fit the space, but I'd rather have it be a little bit tight than a little bit loose along the top. So I'm not going to fasten it off from here. I'm just going to go ahead and take one side. Again, we're going to be attaching this not front ways, but inside out. So just line it up like that against the strap first. So I'm just going to be lining it up and then doing a basic row of single crochet to attach it together. And you are crocheting along the inside, not the outside, so that the seam is hidden when you're wearing it. So then once you make your way around, then you're just gonna fold the bottom over to the bottom of the top, so you can attach it along the other side as well and continue keeping it inside out. Pulling it a little bit as you're crocheting so that it stretches and fits it perfectly. So I'm just gonna make my way around to the other side, continuing to attach it just like this. So I finished attaching the strip to the front, and basically you're just gonna repeat that same exact thing to the back side of the top. So you're gonna create one more little panel and then just attach it with single crochets along the inside. And yeah, once you're finished with that, you're basically done with the project. I'm just gonna weave in these extra yarn pieces, and then you are basically done. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. It's pretty easy, really simple and basic, but really cute and wearable. So hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video.